Okay, we're going to do section 6.6. How do you solve radical and rational equations? There's going to be two videos to this section, so this is video 1. And we've got 3 steps to solve these equations. So step 1 is to isolate the radical or power on one side of the equation, just like we isolate an x on one side of an equation. Then we raise each side to a power that eliminates the radical or fraction. And then we solve the remaining equation. Okay, so that sounds complicated. Let's look at a couple examples, though it's going to be pretty straightforward. So in this first problem, the square root is all by itself on the left side of the equation. So we've already isolated the radical. Okay, so we want to raise it to a power that eliminates the radical. So if it's a square root, I would square both sides to eliminate it. So when I square both sides, the square root and the squared cancel each other out, so it just leaves the x plus 25, and 4 squared is 16. Now I solve the remaining equation, so I subtract 25 on each side, and I get x equals negative 9. Okay, so second one, I want to isolate the power. Isolate the radical, so I have to add 9 to both sides first. Get that out of there. So I get the cube root of x equals 8. Now how do I undo cube root? I cube both sides. And that's going to cancel that out. 8 cubed, and leave it as 8 cubed. 8 cubed is 512. Calculate it on the calculator. Number 3. Now before I do anything, I have to isolate the cube root, so I have to get rid of the 2. So I divide both sides by 2. That's going to get rid of that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I can cube both sides. That leaves the x minus 3 here. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then I simply add 3 to both sides, and I get 11. Now, sometimes it makes sense to substitute the answer back in to make sure it works. 11 minus 3 is 8. Cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So it works. Let's try this one. Divide both sides by 5. You're going to get the 4th root of x plus 3 equals 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now I have to raise both sides to the 4th power. It's going to undo that. I get x plus 3 equals 2 to the 4th, which is 16. Subtract 3, and I get 13. Okay? Let's look at number 5. Now we have fractional powers. We have a rational equation here with fractions. So how do we do that? We do it pretty much the same way. We have to isolate this part of it. So we divide both sides by 4. So I get x to the 3 halves equals 108 divided by 4 is 27. Now how do I undo the 3 halves? I have to raise it to a power that will eliminate the radical or fraction. Now we have a fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise both sides to a power that's going to eliminate that fraction. So the power that's going to eliminate the fraction is just the reciprocal. So if I raise it to the 2/3, 3 halves to 2/3, power to a power, we multiply those, I get 6 over 6, which is just 1, which is just x. So it undoes that. Now what's 27 to the 2/3? Well, cube root of 27 is 3, 3 squared is 9. So I get that. Same thing here, divide both sides by negative 2. I get x to the 3/4 equals 8. Raise both sides to the reciprocal power. That's going to cancel. Cube root of 8 is 2. 2 to the 4th is 16. Okay, same thing here, but first I got to get rid of this negative 2/3, so I multiply both sides by negative 3 halves first. And that's going to get rid of that, so I get x to the 1/5 equals Negative times a negative is a positive 6 over 2, which is 3. Then how do I undo 1/5? I raise both sides to the 5 power, 5 over 1. So that gives me 3 to the 5th, which happens to be 243. Okay, one more, two more. Here I've got this isolated already, so I can raise both sides to the 2/5 power. That's going to undo this. I'm just going to be left with the x plus 3. The 5th root of 32 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Subtract 3 from both sides, I get x equals 1. Finally, number 9. Subtract 3. I get x plus 2 to the 1/3 equals 4. Raise both sides to the 3 over 1 power. So I get x plus 2 equals 64. Subtract 2, I get 62 on that one. So those are some of the basic radical and rational equations that we're going to get in this section. The second video is going to look into some more advanced equations.